It was one of those quiet summer mornings where the sunlight creeps in gently through the blinds and you don't really feel the need to rush out of bed. I was still wrapped in the soft sheets of my bed, half awake, when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I groaned thinking it was just another spam call, but something told me to check it. I reached for it lazily and blinked at the screen. It was a message from Derek, my stepbrother. We weren't close growing up. Our parents got married when we were in our teens, and by then Derek and I were too old to start bonding like siblings. He had his group of friends, I had mine. We'd nod at each other in the hallway or pass comments at dinner, but there wasn't much else. So getting a message from him out of the blue felt strange. His message simply read, "Hey, are you home? I need help, please." There was something about the simplicity of it that made my heart skip a beat. Derek wasn't the kind of person to ask for help. He was prideful, stubborn even. For him to reach out like this meant something serious was going on. I threw on a hoodie and jeans, grabbed my keys, and headed downstairs. Our mom and his dad were out of town for the week visiting relatives in Oregon, so it was just us. He hadn't said what kind of help he needed, but I felt something urgent. I knocked on his door and waited. No response. I knocked again, louder this time. Then I heard it. His voice, low and almost broken. "Come in," he called out. And when I opened the door, my heart sank. Derek was sitting on the edge of his bed, hunched over with his hands in his hair. His room, normally pretty clean, was a mess. Clothes scattered, books fallen off the desk, and energy drinks spilled on the carpet. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I sat down beside him, unsure of what to say. "What's going on?" He took a deep breath and said, "I think I messed up, like big time." My mind started racing: drugs, legal trouble, a fight. I braced myself for the worst. "I lent my friend Tyler some money a few months ago," Derek explained. "He said it was for rent, but turns out he was lying. He used it for gambling. Now the guy he owes is after me because I was the one who sent the money. He threatened me. Said if I didn't pay it back by Friday, he'd come after me." I stared at him in disbelief. "How much $3000?" He nodded, avoiding eye contact. I felt a surge of panic and frustration. Why hadn't he come to me sooner? Why didn't he tell his dad or our mom? Then I remembered Derek's pride. Telling them would have meant dealing with disappointment, lectures, and maybe worse. He was always trying to handle things on his own, even when he was clearly overwhelmed. I stood up and paced the room. I didn't have that kind of money. I worked part-time at a bookstore and barely scraped together enough to pay for gas and savings. But I couldn't just leave him like this. He looked terrified. Not just stressed, genuinely scared. "Let me think," I said. I pulled out my phone and checked my bank app. I had about $700. Nowhere near enough. I called my best friend Jessica and asked if we could meet up. I didn't tell her why, just said it was important. We met at the cafe near the corner of our block. Jessica had always been the kind of friend you could count on for anything, even the wildest ideas. When I told her everything, she leaned back and blinked hard. "That's messed up," she said. "But I'll lend you $500. That's all I got." I hugged her tightly. "Thank you. Seriously." Still, even combined, we were way short. That's when an idea crossed my mind, one that I never thought I'd consider. There was this online auction site where people could offer freelance services: writing, tutoring, graphic design, and so on. But there were also private gigs, invitation-only things, often posted by wealthy people looking for personal assistance or help with odd jobs. A friend of mine once made $1000 helping a guy organize his garage over 2 weekends. I logged in and scrolled through looking for anything fast-paying and safe. After a few hours of digging, I found a job from a woman named Madison Grant. She was a wealthy art collector who needed someone to help catalog and photograph her pieces for an estate inventory. The catch: it was 3 days of work, 6 hours each day starting tomorrow, but the pay was $1,800. I messaged her immediately, explained my interest, and waited. The next morning I got a reply. "I like your message. If you're punctual and trustworthy, I'll hire you. Come by at 10 a.m. I accepted. I worked all 3 days non-stop. Madison was strict but kind. Her collection was massive sculptures, paintings, antique furniture. I took pictures, labeled items, entered details into her system. By the third night, I was so exhausted I could barely keep my eyes open, but I got paid every penny she promised. Back at home, Derek was waiting anxiously. I handed him the envelope and his eyes widened. He didn't say anything at first, just stared at me. "You didn't have to do this," he whispered. "Yeah," I said, sitting beside him, "but I did." He paid the guy the next day. I didn't ask how it went, but when he came back, he looked lighter. Relieved. After that week, something changed between us. It was subtle at first. He started asking how my day went. He made extra breakfast and left some for me. He even helped me with my car when it broke down. Slowly the walls between us began to fall. For the first time, we actually started talking not just about school or chores, but about life, dreams, fears. One night he came into my room and sat at the edge of my bed like I had at his. "You saved me," he said. "And not just from the money thing. You reminded me that I'm not alone." I smiled at him. "I guess we're more than just step-siblings now." He laughed. "Yeah, we're family." It might not sound like much to anyone else, but for two people who barely spoke to each other a year ago, it meant everything. Later that year, when I got into the college of my choice, Derek surprised me by throwing a small celebration with balloons and cupcakes. He even made a little card that said, "To my favorite stepsister who saved my butt." It made me cry. We still have our differences and we're not the picture-perfect siblings you see in movies. But now we have something solid: trust, respect, and a strange sense of loyalty that came out of that one week when everything could have fallen apart. If you had told me a year ago that I'd work nearly 20 hours in a stranger's house to help my stepbrother out of trouble, I would have laughed. But when you see someone you care about in pain, really in pain, something inside you shifts. You realize that sometimes the craziest decisions you make out of love and desperation can turn into the beginning of something beautiful. And that's the part you wouldn't believe if I told you. I didn't just help my stepbrother pay off a debt. I helped him find his way back to trust, to vulnerability, and maybe even to a better version of himself. And in doing that, I found a better version of myself too. It all started with a simple message: "I need your help." And my answer changed both our lives forever.